The idea of the EFF of let's graduate, let our leaders be competent and let our leaders be educated is first partly because we must professionalize politics in South Africa. It's become too easy to be elevated into high echelons of power when you are incompetent in South Africa. Your ability to sing in a meeting shouldn't be able to make you a minister in charge of infrastructure development. Your ability to organize a faction to elect you into a leadership position shouldn't determine you becoming a minister of energy, a minister of health. These are complex portfolios that determine the well-being of society. You can't be a minister of science and technology just because you are able to sing at the highest in a meeting. Pursue education so that we can professionalize our society. That's what China has done. Their society is built on meritocracy.
Correct.
We can have our qualms and complaints and objections as to the ideologies that underpin Chinese society, but meritocracy is something that must be at the forefront. Now, if you didn't get education because you lived under the apartheid era, and of course there were blockages to that, that is understandable. And now you're in your 50s, 60s, we can't make that demand of you. We've got MPs like Mam Kaula, Mam Sonti, from Marikana, who we can't now expect to go and sit in a 3-hour lecture in a first year class.
I love Mam Kaula, by the way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So these are people who have got life experience, and which is what you're talking to, which is valuable. You can't exclude people whose experiences in society, even this criminal I'm talking about, can be rehabilitated, reformed, and become a positive influence. I don't think Gayton is that, but there are many people who are that in South African society. Who can impart necessary knowledge that is not acquired in the corridors of higher learning. But we must create different African heroes with a different standard in South African society. And I think education is the first step of that. That's the intention by the EFF. We don't intend to offend or exclude anyone, but we must create inspirations that move away from the inspirations that are currently permeating in our society.
Have you guys felt any bit of backlash from that? Have you gotten any sense of other people feeling like, hey, maybe this is no longer my home anymore? Because maybe I'd love to get into education, but I'm not good at the school thing. I can't read books, but I'm ready to serve. Have you felt any of that, or have you guys considered potentially another political party or grouping saying, since these guys are now about education, we welcome you guys, and this is now your home, since they living nice MP lives, etc.
I think it would be foolish for any political party to base itself on an anti-education platform. I don't think anyone would try that. But of course, there were critics within the movement about building elitism, that the only people who are going to deploy it are the people who've gone to school. And we had to push back against that and say, look, there's no barrier to you going to school now. We can accept that in your past life, maybe you couldn't afford school fees, maybe you couldn't afford the access to education. Talk to us. For example, now there are many people within the council sphere deployed by the EFF who are not educated. Councils and legislatures provide educational opportunities. You can go to a TVET sector, you can get a diploma, you can get a degree funded through government mechanisms, because they do want to build capacity building. I mean, there's reports that 66% of councillors in South Africa can't use a laptop. Those are people who are elected who are supposed to deal with difficult budgets, large amounts of money, sophisticated municipal infrastructure. 66%. I think that was 2 years ago or a year ago.
Can't use a laptop.
So imagine people who must preside over billions of rands of budgets. And that's the reason, for example, not to sidetrack, but municipalities in South Africa do a lot of consultancy contracting because there's no internal capacity in municipalities. They can't do anything. And as a result, a lot of the budget, billions, every year the Auditor General reports that municipalities are spending too much on contracting for consultants to do basic tasks, accounting tasks, administrative tasks. And that's because councillors are incapacitated. And a councillor becomes a mayor. So a mayor just doesn't become a mayor out of the sky. A mayor is someone who was elected into council and then gets elected as a mayor amongst council. So you'll have people who are supposed to deal, and MMCs as well, the MMC of infrastructure, MMC of budget and treasury, the executive of a mayor is constituted by councillors. So if you've got such staggering levels of illiteracy and computer illiteracy at a municipal level, governance collapses. So to encourage education is to ensure that you're governed by people who know what they're doing as well. So those opportunities must be utilized. So we had that pushback, but we had to argue back. And those are difficult conversations that we're not scared of having as the EFF.
No, thank you. And I appreciate, look, I just want to emphasize what you're saying so that people don't miss it. The EFF understands the danger of elitism and exclusionary. And the argument is not to say, if you're not educated, you're no longer welcome here. It's to say, no, we need a new type of activist, a new type of hero, a new type of role model. come to the EFF even if you are uneducated or undereducated.
Definitely.
If you're old, depending on your age and how you struggled, we can let it go. Just come serve. We're happy.
Yeah.
If you're young, we're saying come to us with your no education. We will help you.
Yeah.
Get an education so that you're not finding yourself like other comrades and cadres sitting in places where you're forced to go and hire people who are educated because you can't do this thing.
Absolutely.
You should have the capacity and we will help you. We are saying, come here, no matter how uneducated you are, and we will help you. Not Uti, if you're uneducated, no.
Stay
only
away.
educated people.
No. Exactly. You've summed it up perfectly.